them. Khalid, I believe we have quorum because we've got half our members here right now. That's right. Yeah, great. Welcome to the Community Board 9 Education and Libraries Committee meeting for today. I'm Erin Mazursky. I'm the co-chair of this committee. Jamie is not able to make it tonight, which we knew in advance. But I'm really excited for tonight's meeting. Very excited to hear from you, Janelle, and learn more about the Crown Heights Library. And then from you, Rebecca, as well, up to hear about the Brooklyn Book Bodega. Yeah, the Education Library Committee, we are in the process right now of kind of better understanding the role that we can play in the community and how we can support you all. And so that's one of the reasons I'm really excited to hear from Janelle Welch from the Crown Heights Library to just get a better sense of what the priorities at Crown Heights Library are, potentially some of the challenges you're facing, and then some of the ways that we might be able to support you as a community board and work together. Excited to talk to Janelle first and then hear more about your work, Rebecca, with the Brooklyn Book Bodega. And then we'll finish off this meeting with a little bit more talk, and hopefully, actually, Rebecca, you'll be helpful in that conversation. We heard from the superintendent's office last meeting about and heard sort of about what they're working on and their potential needs. And one of the needs that they identified was the need for better access to books for students in the district. So you're coming at a very timely moment for us to talk about that. And yeah, I mean, that's a little bit the theme of today's meeting. So yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Janelle to introduce yourself, and we'll have a little bit of time for questions. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. I know you've already had a full day of work, and appreciate you jumping on and talking to us so we can learn more about your work.
Well, thank you for that intro. Good evening, everyone. First, let me apologize if you do hear a musical in my background, because we do have a musical performance happening right now, and they are. Is there a problem? Okay. Hi, sorry about that. Okay, they was knocking the door down. I'm thinking something happened. But good afternoon. My name is Janelle Welch. I am the branch manager at the Brooklyn Public Library Crown Heights location that's located on the corner of Maple and New York Avenue. You really don't hear my background noise, do you? Okay, because I'm hearing it. So here at the library, we are fortunate to be one of the 2 libraries that's a part of Community Board 9. We used to have Broward, but since they're a little bit further, they may be on the outskirts, but they are located at the Children's Museum. So I believe they still are under the umbrella of Community Board meeting.
They're Community Board 8.
Oh, you see that? Yes. One block made a big difference.
I know. Anything north of Eastern Parkway is 8. We're not in 9. It's us and the Eastern Parkway Library, and then I think unofficially the Central Branch. So okay. Yeah.
Well, not a problem, because a lot of stuff happens here at Crown Heights. For one, as of right now, like I said, we having a musical performance happening right now that we try to have one of our musical performance geared towards the evening for adults so they can relax after a hard day of work. We are predominantly a lot of children here, but we do try to cater all the age groups, as in young adult, older adult, babies, toddlers, as well as school age. Yeah. When it comes to the Crown Heights, the biggest support we would need is advocacy at this present moment, because I'm not sure if y'all are aware, about 2 months ago, the mayor was going to do a 93 million cut for the library services. He only cut a little bit as of right now, but we're still playing a budget dance when it comes to the ending of the fiscal year, in which our fiscal year ends June 30th. And then it starts back up from July 1st to June 30th. So as of right now, he didn't cut a lot, but we don't know what's going to happen come July 1st. So that is one of the biggest challenges we face, is letting me know how the community needs the library, because what the cuts would be cutting the hours of service. This location right now is open 6 days a week, about 40 hours a week. We were always pushing for Sundays, but because we're so close to Central, they may not. But definitely we are open 6 days a week. We have programs, like I said, for all age groups every day. I can always email Dante our schedule. Like as of today, we have 3 programs having. We're having a musical performance, we had landscaping for older adults, and we had, what else did we have? Let me just look, because I didn't want to move my eyes away, but today is Tuesday. I'm really trying to focus, and that music is just in my ear. Trying to see where can I find a quiet place, but we're a 1-floor agency, so it's kind of hard. Today is Tuesday. Today is the 13th. Yes, and we had board games for teens, and we had a gardening program. When it comes to summer, since that is the next June, July is coming, July, August is coming, we have programs for teens as well as the children's babies and books. I'm just getting so distracted. I really am. I wasn't expecting this musical performance. We have resume help. We have a cooking program for teens, which is called City Harvest. So that will be happening for the next couple of weeks. We have an adult reading club. It's once a month, the last Tuesday of the month. We have adult computer classes, which is every week. And every week we have an adult computer class from 11 to 12. We have, I'm excited to say that we're going to have a Tai Chi program. Hi, little one. I'm going to have a Tai Chi program that's going to be happening this Friday. It's music. Let me stay focused to you. And so, like I said, we have endless amount of programs. So when it comes to priority, we just would like the public to realize that we are open full. We are open fully to the public. You know, during the COVID, we were doing limited services, but now the library is open 6 days a week, 10 to 6 days, and sometimes 10 to 8. Fully operational. You can borrow books from any library in Brooklyn. You can return to any library in Brooklyn. We also have access to free library services. Not library, well, it is free libraries. I'm being so distracted. Okay. Take a breather.
Great.
I'm so, because I'm hearing it in my speaker.
Do you want to turn the camera around and show us the performance? Give us.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Let me just turn that around. How do I turn? Oh, there we go. Like I said, this is one of the branches that was housing the participatory budget. So if you were able to come by, you can fill out one of the surveys, because there's a participatory budget that's happening with the mayor. Well, not this mayor. It started with de Blasio 2 years ago, but now they finally released the funds. So that is happening until June the 25th, in which you can come to the library and fill out one of the surveys. With the participatory budget, you have access to, not even access. I'm walking around. Sorry if you see the crowd. So like I said, I don't want to interfere. So like right there, we have LA Blacksmith. It is a 3-piece band, and we just finished an art program, and our art room here. Let me go. And all of these programs that the library provides is free. They were doing landscaping, painting. We had here for the older adults, like I said, we have Tai Chi that's coming for the older adults, computer class, sewing, that's once a month as well, sewing and crocheting, computer classes every week. Oh, now I'm walking around giving you a tour of the library. For those of you who have never been here, we also do summer reading in the park, Wingate Park. I'm gonna always send all of this to Dante just so he knows. This is the flyer to let you know. Starting in July, we have reading at the Wingate Park, 10:30 on, I think it's the last Friday of the month, of the last Friday of each week. Oh, I'm just gonna go back on the floor. Okay, we got a lady there rocking the tambourine. Okay, she's enjoying the music. We also have 2 meeting rooms. Yeah, I know, might as well just give you a tour of the building. There was a health fair happening in our larger meeting room. Are they still in there? I guess they're starting to wrap up. So we have a couple of people here for this health fair that this was by the community advisory board. They're wrapping up now, but they were here for about 3 hours. We have 2 meeting rooms that you're able to use for free when it comes to the library, or you have to just come in and request a space and time, and if it's available. Okay, let me go back in my office. Okay, thank you for allowing me to do that. That did calm my nerves. So yeah, I could actually see I was being distracted. That did calm my nerves. Yeah, so like I said, we really do try to be very much involved in the community. Like we had a men's health fair 2 weeks ago. So we're always trying to promote what programs or just any form of support that we could give to the community, as well as how can we help the community at different health fairs, block parties, street fairs. That's just to show that we are valid in the community and we want everyone to come back. This is our summer, as we said, for the public to know that the library is full of tech. How can we better serve you, be it this resume writing, job searching, down to babies and books. As you have your little one there, we have a story time this every Wednesday that we encourage you to bring your babies and books to the library, reading stories, playing games. We have toddlers for the walkers who are able to just gather around with other little minions as themselves, to just meet and greet and have play dates in the library to some degree. And with the school age, we also serve summer meals here. That's one thing that we started back up is summer meals, which will be given 5 days a week. It is cold lunches, and that will be from 1 to 2. So we're happy to bring back summer meals to the library because this is one place that the children, teens, they definitely come here and they may spend their entire day here. So if you're not going home to get a meal, at least you know the library will be able to provide you with that 5 days a week as well. Is there any questions did anyone have for me? How can I best serve the community and vice versa?
I had a couple questions. One is just, I would love to see the list of events that you've got. I have 2 questions. One is how well attended are your events? Do you track attendance, and are you, how much participation do you usually get?
Yes, we definitely do keep track of every attendance that we have. Maybe not this one here because people are going in and out, but for most of the time, yes, we do like to keep a statistics on how many participants came to the event, because then that seems, if a low attendance means maybe it didn't work today, but we'll try it again. We will never just say, okay, we had a low attendance, we will never bring it back. Maybe it was a different time, different day, we can aim for that, but we do keep an attendance. I would say our most popular program would be the toddler babies and books, not babies and books, excuse me, toddler time, because that's when we can average about 60 to 70 children. And this is children with their caretakers. So we used to have a limit, it was at 50, but that was during the, or let's say a little bit past the pandemic, and we had a restriction on how many people can actually be inside of the meeting room. But it can get, now that all restrictions are off, it can range to 70. And that's weekly because you just have the toddlers. At least we have a separate place for the strollers. But that is, I think, our highly most populated, everyone comes out for that, would be our babies and books. But in the summertime, sometimes let's say the patrons slow down a little bit because some go away, but then we get the set that's coming to Brooklyn for the summer. So we get a different patrons that come for the summer. But our doors are always busy and open. I really do enjoy working at this location because it's never a dull moment. Don't get me wrong, sometimes we have the challenges of those I wish didn't come in the library, but for the most part, it's only one or two where we may have a patron in which we may have to get police activity or even just have security escort them out, be it if they're just being disruptive. But majority of the time, it is a safe place for those who choose to come. And everything is free. You have free computer access, you have free books, you have free Wi-Fi, laptops. We have, by George, I said I'm in a meeting. Excuse me. Leon, I'm in a meeting. Okay. I need to put a red sign on my door. I'm in a meeting. I'm usually not in a meeting this late. So they tend not to knock on the door and it's closed. Yes, no. I'm very much apologetic.
That's okay.
Right
That's
now.
okay.
I'm so sorry. This is not the common norm, but they keep on calling.
That's okay. Do you have a question? I had one more question, but do you have a question?
No, shoot. No, you said, does someone have a question or did I have a question?
Yeah, I think
I didn't have a question, but I did want to thank you for the presentation because it's something that I'm not aware. I don't go to the library. Unfortunately, I order books online through the public library. And so
is it Brooklyn Public Library?
New York Public Library. So
okay, I have your name down. I'm coming to visit you. I'm coming to visit you. We're going to have a personal talk after the meeting.
Some of the events sound amazing. So I will definitely come and visit the library. So you're open Monday through Saturday?
Correct. But you can get a Brooklyn Public Library card as well. You can get all three library systems if you're not aware. There are three library systems in New York City. There's New York Public, which consists of the Bronx, Manhattan, and Staten Island. I just went in a kind of circular because you start from the Bronx, Manhattan, and Staten Island. That's one library system. Brooklyn is its own library system, and Queens. So as long as you are a resident of New York State, you can obtain a library card in all three boroughs. The only catch is if you borrow from one library system, you must return it to that library system. So if you borrow from New York Public, as you say, the physical book, you can return it to the Bronx, Manhattan, or Staten Island. Brooklyn, only Brooklyn. Queens, only Queens. And we also do have audiobooks. We also have e-cards. So if you don't have a physical library card, you can obtain an e-card in which you can borrow e-material, which would be either books, audiobooks, e-audiobook, audiobooks. Yes, audiobooks as well as Libby. Everyone loves Libby. Yes. And one last thing with the Culture Pass. With Culture Pass, with your library card, you're able to go to any cultural
I'm going to make sure to
institution.
come to visit and we'll community board office, and hopefully they can put it into their Friday mailers.
Yes, Culture Pass is wonderful because, New York have a lot of cultural institutions that some people take for granted, besides the museums, like let's say like the Intrepid. you can go there for free with your Culture Pass, and all you need is your library card from any 3 library systems, and you can get into the Intrepid for free, the Guggenheim, MoMA, any borough that has a cultural institution that's a part of Culture Pass, you get into it for free with your library card. So I push that even more so in the summertime. So you can go sightsee New York for free as long as you have a library card. And with 3 different library cards, you have three more access points, because one access will give you for Brooklyn, one will give you for Queens, and the other for New York Public. So I encourage everyone, if you have a New York State ID, to get a library card from each borough, from each library system.
Thank you for
I'm
that.
sorry, Miss.
No, that's great. Paula, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for taking your time out your day to join us. For the programs, do you need an ID or any type of identification? For instance, the summer program, the summer meals program, to go and get, a meal if you don't have it. Could someone without an ID get it, or do you need either a New York State ID or like a Brooklyn Public Library or any type of library?
To get a meal, you just have to be 18 and under.
18 and under.
It is a free meal. You do not need any form of ID, any form of library card, just an empty belly to eat the meal. I don't want to see it waste. But
Okay.
It is geared for children. But if an adult comes in and they're hungry, I'm not going to refuse them a meal. But it is geared towards children. They have to have it first, and whatever's left in them, we're welcome to give it to the older adults. Because like I said, we're not too far from the men's shelter. So they do spend a lot of their time here, because we are also a cooling center. So when those older adults or someone who may not have access to air conditioning, the libraries are considered cooling centers. So when we have the public come in, for example, some of the men from the men's shelter, they may be hungry. The only thing we ask is that you eat the meal in the library, because I don't want you to take it outside and the milk spoils or the food spoils, and then you say, oh, I had this meal from the library. So the only thing we encourage is that you stay here and eat the meal in our meeting room, not on the floor.
And just one more thing, as Aaron and Celeste mentioned, we have an e-blast that goes out every Friday with everything that all the events, presentations that are going in within the community. So if you have anything that you want to see go out to the community, please share it with the board email.
Definitely.
And that will go out every Friday.
Oh, that is wonderful to hear, because there's something happening all the time. Like this musical performance that has distracted me. But yes, once I'm able to obtain an email, I will send it to anyone or everyone I need to.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
would be awesome, because we would love to see your events publicized every week. Just if you send out like the list of events that can go in the e-blast, and I know a lot of people would benefit from knowing more about that.
And if any of you have any teens, this is our last teen event. We have this program that was called the Teen Takeover. It was a teen council of local teens from in the neighborhood who may live in the neighborhood or going to school in the neighborhood, in which they were able to take over the library. Well, they call it Teen Takeover, but take over the library for 2 hours, which is only teens here, with more than 5 full-time and 2 security, but we allow the teens to have access to the library just for themselves, in which they conduct a different program, be it if they did a gaming program, they did an 80s program, they did a spoken word program. I mean, it was at least from December until June. They had the library for one evening for 2 hours, but the council consisted of 6 teens, local teens that didn't know each other, and they came together and they would always set forth the program that they would like to have to provide for the teens. So it was such a great experience to see teens who don't know each other work well with each other to make a program, an event for teens by teens. So if you have any teens, they are welcome to come by. Our last one is Fun in the Sun. But again, it is for teens. We will tell the parents, you can come, but you will have to stay outside until 8 o'clock when finished. So if you have any teens, they're able to come. And it is this Wednesday, it's our last one.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. My last question is actually very different from what we've been talking about, which is I would love to hear a little bit more about what's happening with the building, the library building. I've heard that there's some issues or debate with rent or ownership of the building. I don't know if you're familiar with that issue, but I would love to kind of get your take on that.
Well, there are 65 branches in Brooklyn that consist of the Brooklyn Public Library. And just a handful, let's say not more than 6 are still leased. And unfortunately, my building is a lease building. So yes, I believe the lease is for 3 years. So it is kind of scary when you're a lease building, because the owner can always say anytime, okay, we're not going to renew your lease. And now we have to find another location. For instance, the Brower Park branch, which was a lease building, and the owner decided he wanted his building back. So, you know, we had to find space. So to pick up a building, well, not a building, let's say a library, and have to relocate, not only does it put a damper on the community because they're aware of this, and we've been here since the 1960s. So that is it's not a challenge because I only work for the building. It's just a challenge if I have to move and you have a rapport with the community, then now we have to find another location. So that is one thing that is not nerve-wracking, but it does at times becomes uneasy, especially when the lease is almost up. And our lease is going to be up in the next 2 weeks, not 2 weeks, excuse me, 2 years. And then because of the community is changing with all of these different new residential buildings coming up, it's like this is a nice spot right here. This is a nice corner spot. So it does at time. I'm like, oh, I hope that, you know, the landlord continues to renew the lease. So that is one challenge that is always on my mind. Not constantly, because at the end of the day, I'm here, so I might as well just enjoy the moment. But next year, I'm going to be like, oh, 2025, okay. Are they going to renew the lease? Especially now, since within the community, it's a lot of new buildings coming up.
Is there anything that would help solve that problem to make it more permanent? That's in
Well, definitely. I don't know if the owner is willing to sell. That I would have to find out from. Well, I don't know if they even share that with the branch managers. If that is from our capital budget, not capital management, you know, do they display that with us? But I'm aware I can ask, but I guess to bring notion to our capital management, you know, what are y'all planning on doing with Crown Heights? We don't want to lose another building in the community. So that's the biggest help. Like, okay, are y'all thinking about buying a building? Is it rent to own? That would bring awareness whether or not, let me see, who can we contact while I'm here? I just want to give an exact name because we had some different colleagues that relocated. So they've been changing positions recently. I mean, you can ask another question while I'm looking for the new person.
Any other questions? Right. I don't know if there's other questions, Janelle, but if you wanna
I'm still gonna stay here. I'll still be here.
Okay.
I'll just mute myself.
Great. All right, well, feel free to jump back in and let us know. I think Dante or Khalid, who's on the call, can feel free to connect us, and I can connect you with the rest of the committee as well over email. We don't have a chat function, so I can't send it to you directly, but
Okay.
please send all that information to CB9, to Dante, and call it and we'll get connected so that you have a direct line to this committee. And if more things come up, you can let us know. I'm particularly interested in this building issue because I
So
want
am
to
I.
I want to make, I want to think about like, are there ways that we can potentially take this on? I don't know, but would love to continue that conversation. And then, as we said, please, you've got so many events, very fitting for the community info blast, and not to create more work for you, but please put that on your to-do list every week so that it gets out there.
Yes. Well, like I said, if I send it to Dante, he will get it every week.
Yep. So awesome. Yeah. So yeah, please feel free to stay on. Let us know that contact. I'm going to move to the next agenda item, which is Rebecca Cohen of the Brooklyn Book Bodega to tell us a little bit more about your work and how we might work together.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. Can I share my screen?
Let me see.
You should be able to now.
Okay. Let me see. All right. More share screen. Okay. Can you see something that says mission?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So I just wanted to take a moment before I dive in, and I just want everyone on the call to just think about a book that was pivotal in your life. So it could be a fiction book that was a window into something new for you. Could be a nonfiction book that held up a mirror reflecting something in your life back at you. I want you to think for a minute about the circumstances. Where were you? Who were you with? What did it make you feel? Maybe who shared it with you? Who shared it with you, or who did you share it with? And so like that feeling, which I hope you're having, that memory, that feeling is what we're aiming for every kid and every family in New York City. So our mission is to increase the number of 100+ book homes for kids 0 to 18 in New York City, because kids who grow up in homes with more books have better life outcomes. So I'm one of the co-founders of Brooklyn Book Bodega. I've worked in education at all levels, primary, secondary, collegiate, both teaching children and devising curriculum for schools and educators. I started teaching in Baltimore City more than 20 years ago, and I've been working on issues of literacy, access, and equity for the majority of my career. So I'm going to share with you our mission, what we do, our theory of impact, and our impact on the community so far. And then I'm going to wrap up with how you can get involved. I know there are a number of stakeholders in different ways, and there are lots of ways to get involved with us, and also Q&A if time permits. So let's see if I can slide my, perfect. So just like, right, there are financial deserts, there are food deserts, there are book deserts. And so there are kids who are growing up in our city who don't have any books at home. Sometimes the first book they're touching or the only books they're touching are books maybe given by a teacher, books that they're part of a curriculum, but they don't have necessarily the exposure and what comes with it, which is knowledge and joy and comfort and all of those things that come with being a reader. And so what we do is we work with the community to get books. We have 3 different ways we get books. So we have folks do book drives for us. We have book drop sites in different places. And then we have partnerships with bookstores and publishers. And so what we do is we get books, we sort them both for quality and interest and representation and complexity, right? So is it a book for a baby or a book for a high schooler? And then we bring our books to our programs. And curate books for distribution through our partners. And so when we're curating books, we're looking for books that are both windows for kids into, worlds and experiences they may not have had yet, or could never have, right? Like if it's, not, some sort of fantasy or fiction book, but also mirrors and books that reflect back to them their whole selves, valued and represented. So we really value choice and access. And so in 2022, we distributed about 110,000 books. We actually touched on 47 of the 51 city council districts. So our reach is wide. We're hitting a lot of New Yorkers. We held 62 public programs. Our programs are both book distributions and like literacy engagement events. So we recently worked with the New Lots Library and brought in an author illustrator and a DJ and had a book distribution. So that is, we're getting a lot of books out through a lot of our partners. So what that looks like is we work with, our theory of action is that if you weave literacy and book access into the everyday lives of New Yorkers, we're going to get more readers, and we get more readers and more literate people. Those kids are ultimately going to have better life outcomes. So that the research says that if you have, basically it's kind of bottoms out around 300 books. So if you have 5,000 books and I have 300 books at home, the ultimate impact on us as individuals is not very different, but it's that exponential growth between like the 30th book, the 31st book, the 32nd book, that having books at home is tied to these better life outcomes. And it's about a grade and a half more than peers. And those outcomes we're looking at it's financial health, it's educational attainment, and it's emotional health. So we work with traditional literacy advocates like librarians, teachers, and then we also work with non-traditional literacy advocates. So that means like giving books to a physician at Kings County Hospital, or getting books to a football coach to then add in that secondary layer of like, hey, I'm important in the lives of kids. Kids trust me and I can do this. And it makes a lot of sense. So we do this with the support of a lot of volunteers. In last year, we had just shy, I think, of 2,000 volunteers coming through our doors. We're based in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And so we have what we call the book hub. We're there 3 days a week. And then we're out at events. The majority of our work sort of like, if you looked at a map, it kind of spreads out from the Brooklyn Navy Yard in terms of saturation. But we are really looking to partner with as many people as like want to do this work with us. And so that means that we partner with block associations. So, right now we're filling a lot of book requests for folks who say, I want to get books into kids' hands as they head out into summer break. And so we'll curate then 50 books, 100 books, 200 books for that individual based on their request. But I think I'm going to just see if this works, because this never works for me in presentations, but I want to just give you a little window into our impact and what some teachers say about our work. So can you still see my screen?
On rainy
You can? Awesome. Great.
Saturday near downtown Brooklyn, more than 100 people plowed through boxes of new and gently used children's books at Brooklyn Book Bodega. Everyone is welcome to take home what they can carry for free.
Growing up, I didn't have many books in the house, and my parents couldn't afford books. So I understand the importance of something like this.
Keisha Darius teaches 7th and 8th grade English language arts in New York City and builds her classroom library by coming here. So does Leolyn Scott, a 2nd grade teacher at a Brooklyn charter school who lives for photos from her students that show their home libraries growing by the shelf.
With families working with busy schedules, you're not always able to take your scholars to the library, and being able to have an organization like Brooklyn Book Bodega where they're like building your home library and you have ownership, it kind of like lessens that stress.
It's so special. It feels.
And that's actually Seema, another one of our co-founders. But I'm going to stop it there. Okay. So, yes. Okay. So that's a bit about us. There are a lot of ways to get involved. You can volunteer and help us sort and stamp and pack books. You can come to an event on our website. We have upcoming events, so you can just join us at an event and get books for your family or see what's happening with our literacy programming. You can volunteer at our book hub. Like I said, it's in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. You could also host a book drive, or you could even request books if this has your brain churning about like, okay, I know this person, or you could connect us to somebody you think might be pivotal in our work. Our website is up to date. We send out just for the community board, we send out, if you go to our resources and then our in-person events, our upcoming events are here. We send out a mailer usually 2 or 3 days before an event that it's going out, that it's happening, but our events are always here about 2 to 6 weeks out, sort of depending on what's happening. We've had a lot of events happening in June as the school year is ending. But yeah, so there are lots of ways to get involved. And you can follow us on social media or LinkedIn to get in touch. My contact info is on the back of the slide, and I'm happy to share that. And now I'll open up to questions.
Hi, do you guys accept book donations?
We do, yeah. So we have several drop sites in Brooklyn. So if you go to your Get Involved tab, you can find current book drop locations. You could bring them here to these are the 3 drop sites we have now. And we are always looking for partners who want to host drop sites for sure. If you have more than 50 books that you want to donate to us, we ask that you reach out, send us an email, and then connect with us about getting them to our book hub in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And I would share that we're actually 3 people with a ton of awesome volunteers. So we're a pretty slim team, and we're working really hard.
Hi, I recently learned about Brooklyn Book Bodega from someone at an exercise class at Major Owens, and so I looked up the different sites where you're having book distributions. Is there any possibility of having a site that's within CB9? So if we were to kind of partner with you to, and I'm not saying that we can do it, but as an idea, if we were to ask you to partner with us and come to a particular location where there are a lot of kids, or maybe some other interest to give away books, particularly during the summer months. I know that may be hard, but is there any possibility that you can expand and go to a location that's also within CB9?
Yeah, we absolutely could. It just is dependent upon availability. So the reason we're able to host so many programs is through our volunteer program. And so we have about 10 volunteer ambassadors who commit to leading 4 to 8 events across a year. And so if we can never say yes to an event unless we have a promise from them that they'll lead it. And then we are particularly interested in NYCHA adjacent communities and in like book deserts in Brooklyn. So if that, overlaps, that's especially great for us. And then if somebody wasn't available, you can always do your own distribution. And so you can put in a book request for us, and that's post book giveaway. And so you could complete our book request form here and say, hey, we're doing this community event. It's on this day. We're expecting this many people. We'd like these types of books or for these ages. We can never promise a specific title. Like I said, we're all donation based in terms of our books. But we do pride ourselves on curation and making sure that there's a variety of books that are going to be both interesting and representative for the kids who are choosing them. So you could complete a book request form if for some reason it didn't line up with our calendar. And we would love to be in CB9. We may also already be in CB9 in places. So you can actually see also on our website where we've been if you click through our impact page. So you can sort of see these are the community just so far in 2023. This was actually updated as of the end of Q1. So this is who we'd worked with in the first 3 months of 2023. So it's not exactly current. You can roughly see the breadth of who we're working with.
Ramona, do you have another question, or is your hand still up?
Yes, I have another question. So are there any costs associated with, when you're invited to give away books at an event or a location?
So cost for whom? Like fees, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so our funding is all like sort of big tent community based. We've gotten grants, awards, we have some city money, and we fundraise. We're in the middle of actually a summer fundraiser right now for individuals in the community. What we typically say is you can put in a book request and we'll give you up to 500 books per calendar year, free of charge. If you're looking for, a longer term relationship or you're trying to do something else, we are thinking about like service agreements or figuring out how to get you all the books that you want while also serving the community widely. So if we were to partner and be somewhere, it would really just have to align with, is it available? Is it a geographic area we want to be? Like, can we be there? Does that help, Ramona?
Yes, that definitely helps. Thank you.
Sure.
Actually, I've been following you guys for a while. And the work that I've seen you guys done has been amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you for all what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to chime in and say thank you. I'm so glad to hear about your work. I actually learned about you at our recent community fair at Ronald McNair Park in our district. You had a table there, so which was great to hear about. And I'm not trying to pivot this conversation, but it's actually like really parlays well into what we were going to talk about in the next segment. But this is extremely relevant, and I have some ideas and questions about how we might partner together, Rebecca. So we, as I said, kind of at the top of this meeting, the superintendent, Shani and Lindsay came on last meeting, talked to us about all the wonderful things they're doing in District 17, but also named this book desert as like a huge problem for us. And so that got all of our our ideas kind of churning about how to solve this problem, not knowing that you existed until 2 weeks ago. Thinking about, should we try to set up like, free neighborhood libraries that people could like go to, or could stores host some book places where people can pick up books, or like we were like starting, we meaning Jamie and I, the other co-chair, we're kind of brainstorming these ideas. I would love to actually just, with the folks on this call, talk a little bit more brass tacks about how could we partner together with you, Rebecca, because this is like what the superintendent asked of us in a lot of ways and is extremely relevant. I actually, Celeste, you gave me a great idea, because Major Owens is a huge community, a huge part of the community in our district. There are a number of community organizations based at Major Owens, and I just like even wonder if that could be a semi-permanent location for big book pickup and drop off, and if that's something that we can help facilitate. Anyways, I'm just like putting out ideas out there. I think also at the very least, we probably could host some book drives this year or this summer, over the summer, while kids are out of school. So yeah, and we're in a lot of that, the areas that you talk about. So I'm just putting ideas out there to kind of get us going. Would love to hear from other community members. And Janelle, I think you could actually add to this too. Obviously, the library is one source of where people can get books, but how do we enhance that? And I also learned recently that donating books to the library costs the library more than them just buying the book, which I didn't know about. So anyways, I'm just going to start the conversation because this is very exciting and something I think we want to lean into. Celeste.
I just want to let you know that Major
go
Owens does have a cart, a book cart. I'm not sure if it's the Girls Who Code who have this book cart where people can take books, drop off books. So in that kind of spirit, but it seems like Brooklyn Bodega is a little bit more targeted. And to me, for kids over the summer, it seems like that might be a better option because it's kind of hit or miss what may be left at Major Owens and really who has access to the center as well, because it's basically by membership.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I was like up there recently, and I'm a member there. So you have to be a member to access the like athletic space, but I think you can just go to the community organizations that are based there. I just don't know enough about the ones, but I think there is like a teens program based there. We should look into this basically, because maybe Girls Who Code would expand, or I can't remember. I'm gonna like go in there tomorrow and just scope it out. But that could be a conversation. We could also just actually like do another event in McNair with books and announce that we're doing this the last Friday of every month for, July, August, September, or something like that. I don't know. I'm just like putting ideas out there. It's much easier if we have a book source.
Yeah, one thing too is maybe we could talk to Beverly. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we could talk to Beverly Newsom, who, as at Ebbets Field, it's probably a good amount of children there who could probably benefit from a program that's right there. And I think the advertisement and the participation may be greater because people are kind of right there, willing to kind of come out of their apartments and get books for their children, and not to take away from the library, because obviously the programs at the library sound phenomenal. But I guess that, these kids could basically own the books too. So it's a little bit different, I guess, than borrowing from the library.
Yeah, or even at Jackie Robinson, Celeste, which is like right in between Ebbets and the NYCHA housing that's next door to me. I can't remember the name of right now in this moment, but the one on Franklin and Crown. So yeah, Jackie Robinson's like the playground right in between those two facilities. How does all of this sound to you, Rebecca? We're just spitballing over here.
I mean, I think it sounds great. I know that we did a Thanksgiving distribution outside of Major Owens with Councilman Crystal Hudson's office. I think we've done that. I want to say we did it twice. I'm not sure. And then I think there was not sure if she's a tenant or part of the TA at Ebbets Field who was doing some like some book giveaways, maybe a little more than a year ago. So yeah, I mean, I think this sounds great. I think I would want to know like who you're focusing on, how that aligns with what the superintendent is trying to do. Does the superintendent have a perspective or like, I don't actually, what district is the superintendent? How does that align?
We're District 17.
Okay. And is she looking for, is she looking for certain age groups? Like what, I guess I would love to know her goals. And I think we could you all could certainly put in a book request. You could do every Friday this summer. I don't know if you'd want to have it near or with the library at all, if they're having like, programming, and then we're also there doing book distributions. And I know that we've done stuff with the library before where they're doing their like bookmobile little foldables or doing library card sign up. So we definitely have, I mean, I see we've worked with the library a lot. We did it in Janelle, we did an incubator project last year with Adam Street and Whitman.
Yes, I'm familiar with that. That sounds like I'm welcome. Finally get to meet you, but yes, it was a collaboration. I did remember hearing about that.
Which actually gave us a lot of thoughts about like, how do we do programming and how does that work? And how do we strengthen that muscle for us? But yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, they all sound like good ideas for sure.
Awesome. Are you the best person to contact to follow up on this? Is there, obviously, and part of this would be like us as a committee would probably need to agree to volunteer or get more. I don't know how it works in terms of like getting more volunteers, but I think we could definitely do the arrangements and figure it out. It's when Jamie and I were talking about it, we were like, okay, how do we get the books? And then how do we once we get the books, then we have to figure out how to distribute it. So it's so great to hear that you've already got the books and we can just kind of think about how to help you distribute it. And even, when we're, if we're doing a distribution event, we could also probably collect books too, in the same time if we wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think about how you want to roll it out. Like, do you want to do a book drive and then redistribute those books and, not really deal with us at all, or like see what you get and then redistribute another time? I think sometimes timelines, I actually know somebody just did this like great, like everything giveaway, a huge like free market. So people were obviously bringing stuff and taking stuff at the same time. I think sometimes it's a little cleaner if you do your drive, you collect that, you sort that, you figure that out, and then you do your distribution. But that may be a matter of taste. You could follow, I mean, if it depends on how, I guess it ultimately depends where you and the committee land in terms of what you want to do. So if you're trying to, just on your own, get a couple hundred books out into the community, like you can try that, sort of see what works and doesn't work, and then come back to us and invite us to, the next thing. Or do you want to have something? We like to really be at something that's like bigger than just us, that has partners, that has things happening for sure. And you'll see, like, we have some Juneteenth events we're at this weekend, but those are bigger than us, because we really want people to come out. So I think just think about like what the options are. Do you want to do it yourself? Do you want us to be there? Are there partners? Is this a longer term plan? How does the superintendent fit into it? Should it actually be like a summer of planning and then school-based in the fall? Or are they trying to get books into kids' hands now? What would it be like if every school in the district had students choose 10 books or something to keep at the start of the school year in December, in March, and then they left the school owning 40 or 50 books or something? Like, it could be, so I feel like there are many possibilities. And, in that case, that would then be, if we're, getting lots of kids in District 17, which we haven't done yet, or specific schools, then looking at like a vendor agreement or some sort of like service agreement, because we're going to spend a lot of time then getting and curating those books.
That's actually really helpful. We have been struggling to schedule a follow-up meeting with the superintendent's office. And in some ways, I'm actually glad we had this conversation first so that we could kind of bring this to them, because I think that kind of partnership with schools makes a ton of sense. The superintendent was not specific. I mean, it was like she presented and then there was a general Q&A about like, what can we do? And she was like, we need books. So like, we didn't really get into like age or, there wasn't specifics, but we, are trying to get more specific with their staff. But that's really helpful to know kind of how you partner with schools as well. And we might be able to facilitate that connection. I think it's, and also good to know that like maybe we plan a little bit more in the summer. The community boards also it's hard. The community boards also take the summer off. So we don't meet in July and August. So this is our last meeting of this term. And so it may, we'll see. I'll say like, I'm actually interested to hear Celeste or Ramona, like, is this something you'd be up for talking more in depth about, and maybe volunteering some time over the summer to do a trial book drive or something like that? I really like the idea of Jackie Robinson just because it's right there, and it's a mob scene of children during the summer, so which I can attest to firsthand. So it's that could be like a great initial spot, and like we do more events with the schools come the fall, or yeah. But I'm curious what Celeste or Ramona, your interest level in that. There's no wrong answer.
Absolutely, for me, for volunteering. So I would be willing to commit some time to, I mean, I work every day, but for sure to do some volunteer too. I think for me, the idea is really to try to get books to be able to distribute to children. I mean, I could do my own book drive because I have like 50 books that I have sitting in a box, and I've taken them to Housing Works over the years, and I just have stopped like getting the physical books as much just because of the clutter. So, but I have, really kind of recent books that I would like to give away to people who like to read. But I think right now, I think my concern is more about children in the summertime and having books to read. And I think partnering with the library and them being aware of the library programs would just be kind of a benefit to both them and their families, to know that they have things to do with their children, reading and going to library events and so forth. So yes, I would be willing to volunteer.
Cool. Awesome. Rebecca, should we email you directly? I can also give you my email if you want to just like email me your presentation and other things. My email is my first initial, which is E, and my last name, which is Mazursky, which is typed in on my name, E Mazursky at it's EMAZURSKY @gmail.com. And now the world knows that too, because we're live streamed. So, don't spam me, universe.
I'll send you that. I can send you the presentation. Like I said, our team is really small. So I think it really depends on what you all decide to do. If you just want to trial a book distribution on your own, that's really simple. You can just fill out the book, figure out your plans and just fill out the book request. And we want a minimum of 2 weeks, but typically 2 to 4 weeks notice to get you those books. We can't turn around books like for the next weekend.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. For sure. We wouldn't want to do that either. We'd want to get spread the word about it anyways.
So I would say if it's as simple as that, like, I think you can just always put on that Google, it's a Google form and you can just sort of say, we spoke to Rebecca. I wouldn't be the one processing that. If it's bigger or different, or you want to invite us to an event, you can shoot me an email and I can get it to my team. Typically Seema, my co-founder, she's in charge of our programming. So I would tee it up to her, but I mean,
okay. That's helpful to know kind of how you think of that. Okay. And we would want you guys at an event. That sounds like a dumb question, but tell me, like, honestly, like, part of me is like, let's do it on our own just to like not burden you guys. But what's you said, like, the appeal for you guys to be there is if we're partnering with other organizations. Yeah, like, tell me, what's the difference between kind of us running it versus you guys coming and supporting that?
I think for us, like I said, it's just really about availability and geography. But I think some of the places that you mentioned would make sense for us. So yeah, so then it's just really availability. Can we get someone there? What's happening? Okay. I think what's nice, there's pros and cons to all of it. You do it yourself. It's your community. You're doing your thing. It's from the community. We're providing the books. Awesome. Otherwise we're looking for volunteers and we send our event ambassador and we have a little bit more, I guess, historical knowledge about what we're doing or why we're doing it. You can send to Brooklyn Book Bodega. But it's not really, 6 in 1. Half a day. Okay. You want to do it.
Okay. No, that's helpful. Awesome. Any other questions, comments for this lovely Tuesday? Awesome. This has been super helpful meeting. Janelle, thanks again for your time. I know it's late for you and all your programming. I hope you can enjoy the music a little bit.
No, it's finished. I'm making sure we get the library up and running for our programs tomorrow. So that's why I stepped out to see if everything is
you're fine.
Order. So that's why I'm looking back and forth, like, move over there, table back. We got to open up 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So sorry for my distraction.
Again. Yeah. Thanks again, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Celeste and Ramona for joining, and Colin as well. And we will officially reconvene again in September, but hopefully be in touch about some of these opportunities sooner than that. So
it's great. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
And Janelle, if you want to connect, let me know. And I'll send you the presentation that you can then share with whomever.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, have a great night.
Thank you.
You
All
too.
right. You too. Bye-bye.